as diverse as possible. Let's just put it out there, right? Because we all know diversity brings, well, the best solutions, right? And we're America, we're diverse. We shouldn't have a problem with that, especially here. Other countries, maybe not. A lot of countries, yeah, sure. You know, you got England, you got Australia, you got, you know, certain parts of Europe that's very diverse, certain parts of Asia even that's very diverse, and we should all kind of just talk about it and come up with ideas, you know, and not focus on, hey, there's this, you know, program that targets magnet schools and, you know, or it targets, you know, the the wealthy neighborhood in Queens, or you know, it's, you know, it's like given kids opportunities and showing them, you know, what we can do. Now, Jack Daniels and Jason Kennedy had this great idea to do a new DerbyCon for kids specifically, and I think a lot of that's still being worked out. I haven't looked to see if any updates have been done with that, but I'm going to try to start that here in Charlotte, North Carolina, and we need to give them a space and an invitation to basically kids in every demographic, right? And we need to just get them interested because we're severely undermanned the whole world over in the whole infosec community, and we should really be paying it forward, right? So, you know, spending our time and really just giving them our experiences, you know, and showing them, and at the end of the day they'll end up teaching us a thing or two, shit, right? So it's, I just want to get some ideas, like, let's talk about this, like, let's make this a think tank, like, let's just put all the ideas at the table, you know. And conferences are always a good idea, but we want to make them child safe, right? And that's can be challenging, depending on where you are in most cases, and you know, we got to talk about security and things like that, and really, I just want to kind of spitball ideas and just get everybody's idea, you know, everybody in the industry that joins this space, you know, what are your ideas on making it more accessible and education more accessible to kids, I mean, as young as middle school, high school.
So what do you think about online education and kind of like, you know, Google has built quite a platform for that too,
Yeah,
for
they have
virtual
the,
education.
yeah, Google has Kids Who Code. Apple has the, you know, the really awesome stuff too. But that's more for coding, not specifically infosec, right? And Google does have some infosec stuff. But I think kids feel kind of intimidated by that, because it's this big platform and you only get so many acceptances. I'm talking about something more in the micro level, to where we, you know, we maybe can set up a framework or something that is more community driven, and it drives like local kids to, you know, maybe a maker space, you know. That's, I'm just kind of thinking out loud, you know, maybe a hacker space, right?
Yeah, like,
And
yeah, so like a meetup, like a networking event that you're looking at doing connections
right, and
face to face now.
right, yeah,
Yeah.
I know it's fun, it's really fun to talk about during pandemic, but yeah, and like and I think ideally that would
I
be,
mean,
I
I
mean,
have no
you
problem
know,
with that, but I'm what about hybrid? I mean, like, I think that's where the most needed education is going to be, is being able to host in person, small but quaint, making it special, and also inviting other people onto it and be part of it. Like, it's, you know, I don't see why we couldn't have somebody run a Twitter space with everyone from all over the world popping in while they're having their own little, you know, hybrid event going on.
oh yeah, no, that's a great idea. And the way I kind of vision it is, it starts off, you know, everything starts off kind of small as it gains momentum and visibility, right? So like when I grew up in Boston, we started one of the first BBS clubs, right? And we started out with 5 people, and then the next year it was 25 people, and then the next year it was almost 500 people, right? So it's when things become.
That's awesome, by the way.
Oh, thanks. This was way back in the day, but
Yeah, but I know, but I'm just saying that's awesome. That's kind of like, that's no, I've seen it. I've been there. I've done it. I've like, but to be able to hear it, and I could tell in your excitement and what you've done. So that's where I see you can do this. Why not?
well, yeah, and I like bringing people together, no matter what it is,
Yeah.
and I think people in numbers are wicked powerful, and that's
What are
that's
you
been
looking for now?
that's been proven
Right there.
through millennia,
So
right? So, I mean, and we were, the space shuttle wasn't invented by one person, right? So, it's and but I want to give our young a chance to to have another option that they might not consider, because right now cybersecurity isn't really, I've done a lot of research, and it's really still not taught in elementary through 12. Really,
I don't think it's taught at all.
right?
So I don't think. I mean,
Yeah.
I think you have to wait till you go to college
Right,
to
and you
learn
have
this
to
stuff.
kind of just have to get into it, like by accident or through a friend or through somebody's dad or mom, and like, or sister or something, and it's that's the problem. Like, if you're going to school, you know what a doctor is, you know what a mechanic is, you know what an engineer is, but infosec is this big world full of engineers, doctors in some cases. Like, it's this big wide space, but very specific to a specific goal, right? So I'm trying to think of ideas to bring it to the young folks. Now here in Charlotte, for instance, we have this, like, I think it's called Road to something. I can't remember the organization. It's Road to, should have had that ready. But they basically team up with corporations to get kids from high school to more or less intern right out of high school and go through like an apprenticeship. Which is wonderful. And we're seeing that college isn't for everybody, right? And college, yeah, it's valuable, but it's becoming almost less valuable than going to apprenticeships and trade schools and things like that. Like, I was making 6 figures before I went to college, right? And that is crazy, because I just had this knack for IT since I was 12, with technology and everything, and started hacking when I was young, and setting up BBSs and setting up hunk groups on the phone line for maybe free. And and I just naturally just kind of went into this whole technology space during the dot-com boom, was making a ton of money, and I did like 2 semesters at a community college, and I ended up getting mono, had to drop out, and I just didn't go back. I felt like it was like a message, I was like, hey, all right, well, and I mean, since then I joined the Navy, did the GI Bill, went back to college, got my degree, yada yada yada. But it's like, the kids do. We want to give them more options, and we want more people in infosec. And kids are going to bring, young adults. They're going to bring a new vision. They're our future. We want to get them, kind of young. I know that sounds weird, but we want to get them young because they're malleable. We can come together and teach them, and then have a greater workforce. And they end up with a great career, right? So and I basically, I just want to get some ideas. I have some ideas, but if anybody else has any ideas, I would appreciate it.
envision the task, do you think? If you were to do this, if
What?
you
Oh,
were
you say
able
that
to do
again,
this
Tanya?
hybrid, if you were able to put together a program for students,
Hmm.
let's say beginners, intermediate, I mean, how do you envision that? Would they be pop quizzes? Would they be like that?
No. I think it would start off as more of like a conference where, kind of like what Jack and Dave were trying to put together with DerbyCon Kids, where you have like a kids HackerCon, right? And it's just like any other HackerCon, but more or less for kids, right? Where you have your key lock village, you have some talks that are not necessarily dumbed down per se, but tailored to kids, because a lot of kids are smarter than us. Let's just face it. And like it, and then showing them. I would picture like the first conference showing different aspects of infosec, where you have red team, purple team talks. You have malware writing talk. You have a reverse malware analysis talk. You have a Wi-Fi hacking talk. You have ethics and infosec talk. You have minorities and infosec talk. You have all these different talks that speak to children. Like speak to young adults. And I think
Well, I
just to
mean,
get them, you know,
we even have a friend that gave a talk that consists of, she called it reverse engineering the interview when it comes
oh
to
yeah,
cybersecurity. Yeah, Ushi, that would be useful for that too.
yeah, yeah, and shit. While we're at it, even if we don't include, like stuff that isn't maybe completely related to infosec, but will help them, is how to fill out a fucking FAFSA. Because
Yeah.
how many of us learned how to do that? Not me. And like, and the different scholarships that are available if they do want to go to college. So, especially if they want to go for a computer science degree, we can show them the different, but if they ask for something else, like they want to be a veterinarian, sure, we'll do the research and do that too. It's really about the kids, with a cybersecurity twist, but at the end of the day, it's still about the kids and the young adults, right? So, I just want to do. I'm trying to think of a way, because we're really hurting in the infosec space. I am trying to hire people and like trying to get talent, and like for me, the problem isn't even getting somebody who's qualified. The problem for me is getting somebody with good soft skills. Because part of my department is customer service, right? So you need to know how to talk to people and make them feel comforted and at peace, right? So with their issues, but and we can even have a talk about that, and I think it would start with that, and then we could, as a brand, branding off, you could probably have workshops maybe once every couple months, where kids come in and you teach them how to do certain things. Now it's not a talk. Now you say, they come in and say, hey, I want to learn how to use Metasploit. I want to learn how to use a vulnerability scanner. I want to learn compliance. I want to learn what's HIPAA, what's PCI, what's all the stuff, right? And make it exciting, you know, because it can be boring, but we can make it exciting. I know that like what I do, I love because it's so exciting. And I want everybody to feel the same way.
And that's, I'm the same way. I wouldn't be in this unless it's exciting to me. But I enjoy the challenges of it. I've told you that before.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, hacking is fun. Even compliance can be fun. Believe it or not. You can look forward to an audit, especially when you did all your due diligence and you're like, yeah, find something. Yeah, okay. I dare you to find some. Like, it's it can be really fun if you make it a game, right? Anything's fun when you make it a game, and I make everything a game. I mean, I'm Gen X. Everything's a game to me. Um, and the, I, you know, I, my wife is an educator. She was a middle school language arts teacher, and she was an adjunct professor for ASL at University of Florida, and she's taught me a lot. I probably wouldn't be nearly as smart or understanding or compassionate if it wasn't for her, right? So it's like
And what about you, Tanya? How would you try to reach young cybersecurity people? I think if we can take people to schools and actually host a CTF, I think that would go a long way. You know how they have their sport days?
oh,
Like a track and field day.
Yeah, don't know, definitely.
So you do a track and field day, but you do a capture the flag computer lab where people sit down and log in and try to do that.
no. And Nick, you got a good point because colleges do that, right? Colleges have hacking competitions, right? So, but
Oh yeah, yeah. The
elementary,
CCDC was one of my favorite things ever to compete in, and I've
right,
told you that
right,
a million times. Yeah.
yeah, and I did the same thing at Florida State, right? So, like, you get into like okay, Q, um, and the yeah, I don't know of any. I mean, there might be a high school out there that does it. I'm not sure, but I haven't.
I have an
I don't know.
idea.
So like Meta CTF that they use at Wild West Hackin' Fest is incredibly good at lower level CTFs to the point where when you go to the website, you're looking at stuff, they send you through the training when you have trouble with it. It's like if you're
No,
having trouble with a CTF, it sends you through the training to watch videos and how to do stuff.
okay. When I worked for the St. John's School District, and this was about 12 years ago. I was the CISO for them, and don't don't disregard the kids' knowledge and give them throw the shit at them. And let me tell you, they're smarter than we are. Accept it.
Okay.
It's but yeah, we should have like no.
Well, I mean, stuff is
Uh,
available. What I'm saying is it's not there in your face, but it's available. So like if you have trouble with a capture the flag thing, it's available to you to take. But not everybody needed it. It's just a few people did. That's all I'm saying.
oh yeah. All right. No, I get you. Yeah, no, and I was thinking too because I make assumptions. Like we had some pretty advanced hackers in grade school, right? And but
My favorite is the senior that rickrolled his entire school because he logged into their PA system and all their TVs and rickrolled everybody at the same time for prom.
Okay, so can I tell you what I want to do?
What do you want to do, Tom?
So I think that if you can create a course, and if you like, for example, I'm a developer and I'm a developer of Elementor, and there's a widget that builds a website, right? But within that widget, it has the educational aspect of it, which is LearnDash. I know you guys hate WordPress, but I don't know until you come up with something good. If you're able to follow the LearnDash dashboard and to build a course, and then the marketing and like getting it out there, I could definitely do. I'm very much involved in the blogging mothers,
Ooh,
so
nice.
I could see from doing talks with mommy bloggers, and then have them interview you and talk to you, and you can like give them all special deals and stuff. But the kids can be able to have it interactive, and you can do an XR, meaning you can do it almost like at the computer, almost an AR, but it's like AR and VR mixed together, but it's on a desktop.
Oh, nice.
So yeah, so you can create your community in person and off person. But if you could create a whole course where the kids can log on and educate globally, that I think that would be a win-win situation, and it doesn't have to cost an arm and a leg, because it's really, connection. Whoever has the connection, and then I already know
Well,
a certain
there's an
platform I would
amazing
build it
amount of
on.
there's actually an amazing amount of free resources when it comes to creating capture the flags in virtual environments for that.
Yeah, so we have to make it accessible, and that's the key for all type of children, all kind, all ages, all different ways. So, but you have to find out where your program want to go. So, I think the easiest way was like when I sold educational classes for doctors. I realized we sell like beginners, just like an introduction. That's one round. And then another round, you could do, like intermediate. You can say, give them some months off and make it like a maker's bot every weekend, because in the maker space, usually it only happens on a Saturday and Sunday. Maybe on a Friday night, it'll do something. But most of the time, it's a maker spot. And just think of like on a weekend. So it's kind of like you have to like think about making it like it's a camp type of environment for kids.
Oh yeah.
And they have to,
Yeah.
make it like a camp.
Right.
So it could be a great thing because a lot of parents are working from home now. And a lot of parents would sign this kind of program during the winter break, during the summer break, during the spring break. You can do it every weekend. It's really just having conversation and having all the right channels in place, And I think if we plug in with the blogging mothers, is blogging mama and blogging papa is that the groups are called.
That's cool.
One is for men and one is for women.
Why did it have to be separate? Let's try to get.
Well, they all were becoming bloggers back in 2010, so I just helped whoever spent a lot of time with me.
No,
so
that's a good idea.
But I'm just saying, like, if we can, and we're streaming this on my channel, so and I've been streaming since 2010, so I'm just saying if you can come up with actually like we can whiteboard it, we can do a virtual. But if you can come up with a whole program and then we can record it or teach it live, I think that would be very valuable.
I was a Boy Scout. We could do that.
Yeah, just thinking like a camp, like
Yeah,
people love that kind of stuff, especially. And it's not like introducing technology to children that don't know anything. They have to be really into this kind of stuff to be signing up for this, right?
Well,
the parents are
and I want kids who are also like I mean, aside of that, yes, absolutely. But I also want to, maybe go to schools, like have people go to schools and talk about cybersecurity. How
you go
right?
you would do that. But I'm saying just to start out, I would just start out in the basic and create
hacker camp.
Those little training. Yeah, but you can do it virtually, and then you can go and pitch it to the school boards. Because you go and pitch it to the school boards, and even at get involved with the city councilman.
Yeah.
It just if you can get one county to do it, then all the others will follow.
Well, that's a pretty good idea. I love that, Tanya.
You got to start somewhere, but you got to start.
You're brilliant. If anybody else wants to talk, go ahead and request the mic. If you have any ideas to recruit, and I hate that word, I couldn't think of a better word. But if getting more young people.
Couldn't you get a loan? I mean, not a loan, but educational grant from the government or something, because you're teaching a new. It's kind of like teaching, a skill, right?
Oh yeah.
And that should get some type of sponsorship.
Oh yeah, that's not even that hard. I've done that in the past. But for adults. But if anybody else has any ideas, wants to request to speak, if you have any ideas to, or if you have any considerations to consider, go ahead and request to speak and you have the mic. And I would like to focus a lot of my efforts primarily on the less fortunate neighborhoods at first, not to diminish kids in more affluent neighborhoods, because when you're a kid, you're a kid. Whether you're privileged or not, you're a kid. And some people, like, for instance, when I was younger, we were pretty poor, but I can tell you, like, I remember like this one winter time, I lived in my grandmother's house because my mom couldn't afford to buy a house, and she had just remarried to my stepdad, who was a bounty hunter who didn't make a lot of money, and so we all lived together in my grandmother's house. And I remember just when it started to snow, and we were playing like Christmas music. This was like the 80s, and looking out the attic window, and it starts to snow. And I just remember how much comfort and how comfortable I was, nothing else mattered. What I had didn't matter. What I didn't have didn't matter. Well, I should say what I had mattered. What I didn't have didn't matter. Like, it was just this wonderful, warm feeling. And it's hard to, like, now that I do make a lot of money. Like, I do well for myself. I have a beautiful house. I have a beautiful family. I can't replicate that feeling. Sometimes I can replicate it with my kids, but it's different, right? So I I'm just saying, like, we shouldn't diminish like even privileged kids or blah blah blah, because kids aren't always as privileged as you think, especially with rich families. Um, so I really want I do want to focus it on a more diversity though, and to at least yeah, I don't know if I
Why don't you just give away scholarship? You can focus on why don't you focus on all kids and provide it globally, where pretty much they can sign up for it. You can provide scholarships.
the reason for that is because in the less fortunate areas, the teachers don't teach about scholarships. They don't like, those kids don't know about scholarship. Like, they don't know they can apply to scholarships that don't even apply to them and get accepted, right? And like, that's the problem with scholarships. So, you know, unless you live in an affluent community, you don't really learn that much about unless you're really lucky and have a really awesome teacher, right? That says, "Hey, I want to talk to you. Let's talk about scholarships." Um, but that's it's actually rare. Um, Maybe it's better, but yeah. I don't see the data reflecting that. So, I mean, I think it's more like going into the community, like being with the community and and kind of just talking talking to the kids, talking to the young adults, and saying, "Hey, we're starting this new hacker space. We'd love it if you joined it. There's going to be a lot of great education. If you want to learn how to hack computers, you want to learn how to secure computers, you want to learn about compliance, protecting data, and things like that, right? And try to, I made it kind of boring right there, but you know what I mean. Like, it's just trying to. I think it's more or less getting them interested in the field, and then we can think about scholarships, and then with social media pushing the scholarships, right, so that everybody knows about it, with good explanation of what the scholarship is about and who can apply. Because I remember back in the 90s, like, when I was applying to scholarships, I didn't even know if like I was confused as all get out, right? And I like, I got 2 scholarships and 3 grants. I went to 1 semester of MIT, and then everything ran out, and I had to drop out because there was no way in hell I was going to afford MIT, right? So I ended up going to Bunker Hill Community College, and like, and then I got mono and had to drop out, right? So it's like, I just remember when I grew up, I didn't learn shit about going to college and all the financial support that I could apply for. Everything was about, oh, just go for the Pell Grant. Like, you can get the Pell Grant, and the Pell Grant will pay for it. No. Like,
Well, it paid for my first 2 years of college.
yeah. No, the Pell Grant is not bad. Don't get me wrong. It's just not going to be it's not going to pay your whole way. Um,
Well, I mean, I'm in the same boat of a lot of other people. In order to get out of those areas and find something else, I had to join the military,
well, that's what I did.
and that goes
doing,
the same
right?
for rural. Yeah, that's low income. That's rural and urban. It doesn't matter. It's low income.
Mm.
The military goes through and grabs those people. That's how a lot of us end up there.
Well, that's pretty much how I ended up going to the Navy. You know, I was making a lot of money before but the dot com era burst. You know, it was hard finding work, even in Boston. And well, I was really young. Yeah. Well, when I joined the Navy, I was 24, and
Yeah, I joined
That's
at
considered
21.
old.
I joined at 22, but my options were gas station attendant, working at Radio Shack selling cell phones, or working in the mall kiosk selling cell phones. So,
oh yeah,
and I agree with you, Jason. I think these are a lot of the areas that we need to probably contact. There's a lot of brilliant minds. It's like, it always scares me. It's like, so what if you have somebody in an untouched? Have you ever? I heard it once about a guy that was in a tribe, in an untouched, like, Aboriginal tribe, but he had a math book, and what he learned, he managed to extrapolate modern math theory based on the basics of algebra, because he was clever enough to figure it out, what it was leading to anyway,
oh yeah, brilliant mind. And
without school. And
right.
and I always wonder how much of that talent goes to waste because people don't try to tap
a
it.
lot of it. I mean, I started my career without even going to college, right? And just because I was passionate about hacking and computers and everything, and I found wonder in it, right? So it like I could manage a firewall at 18, right? I could manage an IDS at 20 when they became a thing, right? And like it's it was when I was writing code, I was writing so much code. When Nessus came out, I made the GUI front end for it when I started my company at 20. I started my own company, and 20 years old. I wrote a GUI for it so that anybody could do a cursory vulnerability scan if they requested it for free. And then what I did is, okay, you can go to my site. Like, I would market it. I would contact them and say, hey, if you want a free vulnerability scan, request it. I'll give you a login to my site, and you can do a free vulnerability scan. You just have to put in your IP addresses, right? And they put their, they'd sign up for it. They put their IP addresses, and then I had this thing like, hey, depending on your findings, blah 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 blah. Well, I worded it much better. We can help you come in and remediate those. We can make recommendations. It was brilliant. Like I made a ton of money. Like it works so freaking well. We got bought out. Like and like there are kids out there that'll like that, right? So it's but you know eh, we need to again we're just lacking in so much talent. And a lot of kids, they might have a propensity for IT security hacking, but then something else, comes along and they end up doing that, right? Um, let's try to catch them. let's try to catch them into IT security.
And Jason, you can tell people in this room, because when we started this room, you made it in response to something that keeps coming up in cybersecurity rooms, and that's people being overworked and reaching burnout. Because of what's going on in cybersecurity right now, a lot of people that are professionals are starting to hit burnout. Most of them are salary workers. And so, they're being asked and tasked to work ridiculous hours to take care of these problems. We all know it's very public now. We all see what's going on in the news. So, it's very obvious that there's a need in this area.
Oh, and to your point, Nick, I got hired at this healthcare company to start up their security program. And I hired three pretty brilliant folks to help with infosec in the company with HIPAA primarily. and they all left within 3 weeks of each other. So, and it was because, you know, the company got bought, the whole culture changed, and they had been there for 3+ years, and they didn't like the way it was going. They were used to the old culture, and they left. Yeah, it's a very real thing, and a lot of people are quitting their jobs right now. Uh, I I kind of get it, but I don't get it. um, I don't know. I guess I just come from that time where you have kind of
Well,
loyalty.
Jason, you know my stance. So like
Mm.
where I am now, retiring from the Air Force, I don't need to work. I really don't.
Right.
I want to do cybersecurity because I want to. I enjoy helping people, and I've told you that the coolest thing ever is I'm in a point in time in my life in which I have time,
Hmm.
and that is my currency, because I don't have to deal with I don't have to rent my time to somebody
Yeah, it
else.
reminds me of a song. Yeah.
So then,
Yeah.
whenever we have projects like this, or if we want to do the CTFs, or if we want to do a hacker camp for like a weekend, up in the hills or whatever, I'm more than happy to help host that stuff. I've got time to do these types of things, and I really want to do these types of things. We multiple times have said, we've got a group of people of cybersecurity professionals that are all brilliant. You guys are way more brilliant than I am. I'm just good at kind of making these structures to connect stuff together. But it's imagine what would happen if we were organized. You know what I mean?
No, and that's the goal, is to become organized, make it like a universal standard, you know, and
Yeah.
and not something that's like set in stone either. Something that's a living, thing, right? So something that's democratic in a sense, um, and everybody has a voice. Everybody in the organization has a voice, and we can make changes, and we can institute new things, right? So I want it to be
Well,
very
these are the
much,
types of things we can do. It's like this,
yeah.
and that female hacker that found that problem in the with the social security numbers.
Mhm.
We'd be able to help her out with building a case for defending herself in
Oh
court.
yeah,
Because she only looked at HTML.
right.
So that's not really hacking. Looking at HTML, parsing what your browser's looking at, but they're trying to put her in jail for it because she exposed a flaw. And I think it's really important that a group
Oh, she
like us
was,
can actually help somebody.
yeah, and that's actually kind of what we're doing, right?
Yeah.
And
Well, we're
we're
trying. We're
trying,
trying.
and yeah, for everybody, if you don't know, we have a group. We should really kind of advertise it, maybe. Well, it's tricky. Um,
We need to be organized first, and then we can
right,
advertise.
it's tricky because have you ever seen the show Leverage? Anybody? Leverage? It was a show from a couple years. It ended a couple years ago. It had Hardison the hacker, um, the social engineer. It was a great show on USA, I think it was, um, and they did things very discreetly. Like people would come to them, right? And I kind of want it to be more like that, where people know us from other people. Because I don't want to get trolls. I don't want to get people that are like, hey, I think my wife is blah blah blah, like doing. I don't want any of that crap. I don't want to. I don't want to spy on people's spouses. I don't want to like none of that crap, right? So it's and that's the problem with posting it publicly on the internet. Like, hey, if you have a security issue, like, no, I'm not going to help you hack into your ex, and
Well, I mean, okay, so far we've been able to help out two people whose Instagram accounts got hacked. So we've
nice,
been able to guide them through remediation,
yeah,
recovering their accounts, letting their fans know what's going on, off, just temporarily putting their fans on another service for a little while. We're getting good at that type of stuff, and that's the type of stuff we do, is to try to help people remediate an attack. And I always tell everyone, assume breach already. So if somebody's like, well, what if I get hacked? I'm like, no, just assume you're already hacked and start acting out the way you're going to there, and then you can actually establish an incredible baseline, so that when it happens, you have a great remediation process.
well said. All right, we get a lot of listeners in here. Anybody want to request mic? And if you
Speak up, questions or whatever.
questions, or if you have any input or recommendations.
Hey, don't mind me. I'm just sitting here listening.
Right. No, thank you. And it's this. I mean, the whole point of the space is for the diversity. For I don't have all the answers. Nick doesn't have all the answers, right? Tanya doesn't have all the answers. She has really good suggestions. And the more people we have as input on this, getting, or I don't want to convince young people. It's just giving them the opportunity to know what infosec is. Hacking, blue team, purple team, the compliance, governance, the whole 9 yards, right? So it's any ideas besides camps, which was a great idea, conferences for kids, going to schools, talking at schools, and things like that. And then we have the internet. The internet I struggle with on getting ideas for kids besides YouTube. YouTube actually makes it a great platform to actually target your audience to kids, thanks to California and COPPA. You can gear it towards kids as long as you gear your material on YouTube to kids. Hey.
No, I didn't hear you. Like you went in and out. So Delphina's here, and Devin is here. Also, I gave them the mic, and Q is here.
Oh yeah.
Hi everybody.
Q, you're back.
Well, Delphina just left, but we do have DC, who is a brilliant cybersecurity expert.
Oh yeah, Q, you rock.
No, I just wanted to say that I have nothing to do with cybersecurity, but like in the middle of my professional life, I'm actually thinking of going back to school and taking it up. I think sitting with you guys all the time has really made me curious, and I've gotten an interest in it.
Alberto is the one that keeps saying that she is in cybersecurity, and she's saying, no, I'm not. I'm not.
I mean, I do IT finance, so I know a few things. But it's different than being a tech person. So yeah, I don't know why he suspects. He says you're a hacker and I know it. I'm like, okay.
Q, you rock. Yeah, no, if you want to get into it, and I'll teach you if you want to learn.
That would be awesome. But I mean, I was just thinking that maybe go back to school or something. I don't know. I mean, it's hard when you're all you're already in a career which is doing okay. But I do feel I want to do something which really interests me. I mean, finance has become kind of boring after a while.
No, and Q, one of the things is you're coming in at an amazing time, right? So when I was getting into cybersecurity at a young age and trying to go to college for it, there was no course. It was like, oh, go to college, get a computer security degree, which was basically just programming, right? There was nothing about firewalls. There was nothing about hacking. There was nothing about, it wasn't really until the last couple of years, really. There's only a handful of colleges, I remember just 5 years ago, that offered anything in the realm of cybersecurity. I think Maryland was one of the first. I want to say even MIT, they took forever, and Berkeley even took forever. And all they offered was, hey, we have computer security degree, which could be anything, right? It was very loose, and you could focus on a programming language for the most part, and it drove me nuts. I'm like, why are there no colleges that offer security, like hacking, and like at a young age, right? I'm like, why? But now we're very fortunate.
They're doing it now,
Yeah, they
right?
are.
You can get a degree
Yep.
in it because I swear I see it
Yeah,
everywhere
UNCC.
in every
Yeah,
university.
UNCC, UMC, Berkeley, MIT, you name it. Like even community colleges, like everybody is now offering it, right? And it's a beautiful thing. And right now, if you want to take a course,
All right, so
it is
even
wonderful.
Embry-Riddle Aeronautical University is offering cybersecurity
Right?
as
Yeah.
well. Yeah, even in my domain, they're offering
Hey,
that stuff.
and I just want to plug UNCC, not only because I'm here, but they have one of the best programs, and their CTF group just won 3 years in a row.
That sounds wonderful. That sounds wonderful. I mean, I'll just like, get some more details from you separately, and then I can look into it definitely.
Oh, cool, Kuyu. No, glad to help. I am so glad to help.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, and you're wonderful. And what you do right now is super wonderful. I thank you for what you do.
One thing I did wanted to say though, thank you so much, Jason. I wanted to tell you guys that in my company, so we are a really big corporation with like thousands and thousands of employees globally, and US operations are really large as well. I look into global IT. So for us, IT is like a global function. We don't operate separately in different countries. So I manage like kind of a global part, and the really shortage, where we feel we can't seem to hire people is cybersecurity. Every other function, I mean, R&D is another one where we are having issues, but cybersecurity really is like, they're paid the most because we just can't seem to find people in Boston. So that's something, some incentive, like, to start learning it.
Nice, Q. No, that's well said. It's funny, I left Boston because I couldn't find a job back in the 90s. But yeah, it's and I was very specialized back in the 90s, right? When the cybersecurity wasn't really a thing. And so like I went from like being a thing to, starting a bunch of startups up and getting their IT and security off the ground to everybody going out of business. And like, hey, I do IT security, and everybody was like, what's that? Right? And so it's funny how it's totally come 360. It's
And
crazy.
in terms of like when we are allocating budgets, so we get a huge pot and we have to kind of distribute and prioritize each year that what are we going to invest in. And there's one thing about IT people that they always want all sorts of sexy technologies as soon as possible. Everybody wants it, but the one function, like which does not get the budget cut is cybersecurity, because yeah, you need it, right? So it's security, it's compliance, and you never have a debate on that one.
Well said.
Well, I mean, we hope so. I've been talking to a lot of cybersecurity people that are in infosec and stuff, and I've been helping them out with some of the techniques that I've learned being in the military about cover your ass, move for records. Oh, yeah. So like they'll run a risk analysis, and they'll say, hey, we need to buy this to protect this, or we'll lose this much. And then the C levels are like, no, don't worry about it. And I'm, teaching a lot of people, hey, get this in writing. This is how the letter needs to look. These are the signature blocks and stuff, because there's a lot of infosec people that are getting burned like crazy whenever a company gets hacked, even though they've warned about it before, just having stuff on paper. And it really sucks because of the importance and how detrimental information security is. The professionals now are starting to have to cover their own butt with letters and signatures and things like that, because when something goes wrong, you can't go, well, I told you so. You could just say, I warned you about this a year ago, and they go, well, no, you should have stopped this from happening. It's really insane. So I mean, I understand why a lot of people are having burnout. I understand why the career field feels incredibly strained, especially now that we've had this, well, it's starting to calm down a lot. The ransomware stuff's starting to calm down now, but I'm starting to see more and more stuff about people trying to do responsible disclosure and having a lot of issues with that. That's a completely different other race, but you know what I mean? Like it's a completely different rodeo is what I meant to say. But yeah, it's a very tough field to be in, and it's a minefield. It can be a minefield and be incredibly stressful. But I agree with Jason that we just kind of need to. There's parts of it. There's reasons why we do it, and I think it's very important that we can find these people that have that personality type that are really looking forward to it, looking forward to the challenge, looking forward to the craziness, the insanity, the adaptability that it requires to have the mindset for this. Even thinking at problems that are sideways as hell. And there's people out there that totally cannot function in a normal type office environment that I think will make very good cybersecurity professionals.
Oh, absolutely. And I akin it to somebody like like a kid who's good at puzzles and oh god, I brain fart. Is good at I just had it. Damn it, it was pretty good. Yeah, well, good at puzzles and good at customer service, but you know, it like good at and lazy. We want lazy people. And the reason why I say that, okay? Lazy people. Let me talk about that. Lazy people in security are the best at automating stuff. So when you're trying to implement all these tools, you want to automate, right? And the lazy people are like, hey, let's do this so we don't have to do all this manual work, right? And that is so like valuable. um
Well, you say that, but I told you before that I scripted myself out of a job in the Air Force.
I did too when I worked for General Dynamics. Scripted myself. It was a 6-month contract. I scripted everything and it ended in 3 months, and I shot myself in the foot because that was a lot of friggin' money, and I was like, son of a bitch. And
well, I was still enlisted, so I was getting paid no matter what. It's just instead of sitting in a cushy office, I had to go back out to the flight line and freeze my ass off.
Right. And I yeah.
I do think though, I mean, this just one thing that I wanted to add on what Nick said. I mean, definitely for years there was no investment on cybersecurity, and the executives would say just like accept the risk or whatever. But it's no longer the case for the last couple of years, because whenever something happens, so I'm in pharmaceutical industry. A lot of things are very very regulated anyway, depending on which country you talk about, and reputation is another important thing, that if something's to happen, then yeah, I mean, I remember there was this one very strange incident. I mean, apart from the firewalls and all the other things, there's many things that's happened. This was this one very strange thing that happened, that one guy somehow he so one of our executives, he flew to China, and he managed to replicate the email ID on a company domain or something, and somebody actually transferred the money into their account. So he wrote an email that I'm doing a big acquisition, I need this much money transferred, like do not discuss it with anyone, it's an extremely confidential project. And the guy ended up, I mean, he was finance director, and he ended up transferring the money. And everybody was like, then came all the security trainings and awareness and all of that what the heck are people thinking, right? But I don't know, like, for the last couple of years, at least in my company, I see this insanity. Like when you join, you have to do this like really long training in which you have to even like go back to basics, that what's my password supposed to be. And they're also upgrading like the technology in all the factories across the world, the manufacturing plants. So it's become really important.
Well said, Q. And yeah, and I ended up going to do the same thing with the last company I was with. It was a manufacturing company, and we had so many financial phishing incidents, right? And hey, I changed my account number and yada yada yada, and they're like, okay, like they wouldn't even call them to validate or anything, and so I had to go in and change the whole culture, right? And it's tough, but we need, and we just need more people, and like I'm exhausted. I'm completely exhausted. I'm at, at the place I'm at now, after losing my whole team, and I interviewed a possible candidate a couple days ago. We'll probably end up hiring him. He seems like a good fit. But it's a pain in the ass, and infosec is a pain in the ass right now, in every aspect. Like my whole career, it's I almost feel like a doctor. We're working doctor's hours. You get a call at 2:30 in the morning. Hey, blah blah blah, can't get into blah blah blah, right? And I got a call. Blah 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 is getting attacked. Can you put some firewall rules in to block it? Yada yada yada, right? And it grates on you. Yeah, it and I kin it very much too like a doctor, where you have your normal job where you have to do the day-to-day tickets, right? So you're doing your day-to-day triage, right? And then you have your emergency surgeries, in the middle of the night, and you have to go in and do surgery. It's very much like that, where you're using a lot of your frontal lobe to figure out what the heck is going on, and you know it's going in and trying to remediate and block and do all these things, or react to somebody who is phished, and trying to do reverse analysis on what the heck happened. And at the same time, though, it is fun as fuck. It is wicked fun, and I wouldn't do anything else.
That's what I was going to say. I mean, the burnout, Jason, is real. It's all across. I mean, for the past like 10 years, I can't remember, like, if I've properly taken a vacation without working. And it's almost always like, I don't know, 12 hours a day. And I'm not even in IT. So it's just like I've seen the corporate burnout is real. But as long as you love what you do, I think that kind of keeps you going in a way.
Yeah, and again, like look at doctors, and I'm not trying to compare cybersecurity to doctors by any stretch of the means. I just mean it as an analogy, and it's very much like the same kind of thing where doctors are undermanned, cybersecurity is undermanned, and we're always responding to an incident, right? And where it doesn't matter what time of the day it is, you always have to be available, and especially as a senior security engineer or a manager or a director or a CISO, you're responding, you're always responding, you're always like communicating to the board, you're always, it's it does wear you kind of out. Well, shit, yeah, it wears you out, and it, um cute, nice. And like when we're constantly having to respond, and and the thing is in today's like the whole posture today, right? Cybersecurity has always been a cat and mouse game, always. A vulnerability found, okay, now it's patched. Vulnerability found, now it's patched. Vulnerability found, 0 day, yada yada yada. And then we have controls. So we put controls on top of these so that even when a 0 day comes out, we might be protected, right? And we do all this, it's layered security. Then we put on layers and layers and layers, and then we have OAuth, right? You have single sign-on, And then you look at what happened to Facebook, right? Anybody that used Facebook single sign-on, they were fucked for over 2 hours, right? So, the same thing could happen to Okta, right? Okta is a big single sign-on provider. Ping, right? One identity. The same thing could happen. And like, we started putting all our identities in a bucket, right? So sign in with Apple, sign in with Google, sign in with Facebook, sign in with Twitter, sign in with. So we're putting all our identities in a bucket. And that's another conversation, but.
No, Jason, I've already got something prepped to talk with Tanya about, and that's why I bought the .com, idresiliency.com.
I know, Nick. And
I've got it for that.
I was kind of,
yeah.
I was going to point to that, but it's but these are the big issues that I think a lot of our young population can help address, right? Because our young population learns things that we didn't learn in school, and they will have ideas. They will bring more diversity to the table. They will help us. And that bring it full circle back to what this whole space was about, was recruiting young folks, getting ready for careers, getting ready for, thinking about what they're going to do and considering cybersecurity as a career. And I think it's good that we were organic and we talked about a lot of the issues in cybersecurity and how it can be fun. It may not have sounded like that, but it is actually fun. There are moments where you have these epiphanies and you're rolling with your sim, and you're purple teaming, and the red team starts doing an exploit, and you're like, oh, I nailed it. Like, I totally blocked that shit. Like, I had the whole automation. Like, you're done. And that's fun. Like, it's like a video game almost, right? So, even with compliance and governance, it's, you're doing a lot of reporting, and you're working with the security teams. You're working with, all that. That can actually be fun too. It sounds boring because it's mostly paperwork, but it can be fun because you're doing pretty cool charts and you're correlating data, and that, I don't know, I find that kind of fun too. And you're communicating to the C-suite, up on the top floor. You're saying, hey, these are the controls we have in place. These are the things we're doing to protect the company. These are our risks. Here's our risk register, and it's actually a lot of fun. I like it. But that's just something that I've been attracted to since I was, 10. So, and I kind of want to bring it back to that, it's finding those young individuals that want to make a change in privacy and security and hacking and protecting. That's it.
Oh yeah, by the way, Jason, I just followed you.
Oh, thanks, brother. I really appreciate it.
Not a problem. And if you need someone to chat with, you can always feel free to hit me up because my DMs are always open.
Thanks, though. Like,
so Devin, are you a comedian?
Thank you for being so approachable. I really appreciate it.
No problem. And to answer your question, Tanya, no, my dream is to become an upcoming rap artist.
Oh, hey, Devin.
Oh, okay.
If
Can you give us a beat?
Give us
some,
a beat. Yeah, drop a beat.
Some verses. Can you give us some verses?
All right.
Tell us a story. That's what hip hop's about.
I don't really have a story about hip hop.
No, I'm
his
just talking
stories are going
about
to be
my
much
friends.
more content approval than mine are.
I got a song
Well,
for
my
you
friends
later.
who write it, who do hip hop, they tell me they tell a story, like old style hip hop. There's a story behind it, every song.
Jason,
So, that was
I
all.
am sorry. I got to go because I got to get up early tomorrow. This piece stuff that I got to take care of is actually pretty important, and I need to study all weekend to do my test.
No, hell yeah, Nick. Good luck with that. It's a beast. I totally get it.
It is. Yeah, the first test I took. All right, so everybody in this room, if you ever take an important test, don't go to it with 2 hours of sleep. Drive 4 hours away, and then have your back go out while you're there. So you're in incredible pain while you're trying to take a test, because those are not prime testing conditions, apparently.
Nick. I'm sorry, man.
No, it's okay. And it was DEF CON that did my back in, because I was wearing a backpack for a few days. Yeah. And then on my way back, that was when my disc finally slipped in my back. And then like driving home, every time I stopped to get gas, it took me 30 minutes to walk around the car to put gas in my car. And then I was just kind of laid out for about 2 weeks. But yeah, but that's I'm sorry, guys. I didn't mean bring it. Well, no, that's
do you have an incline
thing.
board? You should get an incline board. I have one.
It's
awesome.
Yeah,
you hang upside down.
Yep.
Well, Tanya, I'm actually doing a lot better now because I do a lot of yoga stretches. And with the jog, I jog 3 times a week, and that helps a lot.
Oh, that's good.
Yeah.
Do a lot more than I do.
Nice.
Well, it's the VA. It's carrying around a 50-pound toolbox for 10 years. And then, moving on to carrying heavy ass boxes when I was on the flight line here at Ellsworth for B1. It's what happens. It's just what happens over time.
Amen.
Yeah, but I'm okay. It's just, luckily it's all part of my VA stuff. So, I may get some extra pay from retirement. And as I said, if I get like a full paycheck where I can, where I'm receiving, about $4,000 a month for just being a disabled vet, I will be more than happy to teach people cybersecurity for free. That's where I'm in my headspace.
Nice.
Yeah, and it's just how I feel, because the time that I can spend giving people pen tests and teaching them the basics of cybersecurity and defense and everything else is always amazing, and I fucking love it. Jason knows me. We do crazy shit for free all the time because we enjoy the job.
Yeah.
The job is amazing.
Yeah.
It really is.
Yeah, and honestly, if anybody has any issue with, you're compromised or anything, we're there for you, right? So
absolutely,
that is the thing.
I'm happy.
Pro bono, fuck, because the world sucks, and there's a lot of scammers out there, and I don't even call them hackers anymore, because they're like the APT groups. Maybe some of them have some hackers, but the majority of them are just reusing whatever tool somebody else made. So they're
well. On top of that, we've seen multiple instances. We have a really good friend of ours whose entire life was ruined by hackers.
Yeah.
And my objective is, you got these people doing this stuff for free, or even trying to steal money from people. So there needs to be people on the other side pushing the other way.
Right.
And so, we're trying to make a concerted effort to be, the good guy hackers, to show that, by the way, there's white hat hackers out there trying to help people, because we understand what our morality is, which is, defending the craft.
Speaking of which, Nick, I'm probably going to fly out there next month.
Oh, out to England? Well, I will be on terminal leave, so I am more than capable of flying.
I will meet you there, brother.
Yep. It just may take me a little longer because I'm going to fly Space A. So.
Oh, I'll wait.
I'll fly in a cargo plane in the military and just fucking hang out and enjoy myself.
I'll hang out with Paddington Bear.
Exactly. But yeah, like.
No, all I wanted to say is during this season is, hello, darkness, my old friend. I see you come at 5 o'clock again.
Oh no! Right now I am very drunk. I've been drinking rum for the last hour and a half.
Oh,
but
I'm sorry with the Sailor Jerry. I talked you into it, and you know.
Oh no, it's plenty good. It's no problem at all. It actually is way less abrasive than some of the other shit that I normally drink.
Isn't it good though with the spices? Like the spices are on point with Sailor Jerry.
Yeah, for a $24 bottle of a huge bottle of rum, that's
everybody says that, by the way. Like Sailor Jerry is like, to me, it's like the champagne of rum. Like it is. To me, it is the best rum out there. I haven't had a better rum.
But it's super cheap. That's what's so great about it. It's awesome.
It shouldn't be that cheap.
Have you ever had peanut butter rum?
Yes, I have.
I actually have. Yeah. It's funny that you say that, my friend, because I bought some whiskey while I was there. Jason knows because we were on a call when I bought it. So I actually bought a bottle of Screwball peanut butter whiskey. So I have that.
I don't know how gross it is, but it sounds disgusting.
Oh, why would it be disgusting? It's whiskey. Can't go wrong with whiskey.
Peanut butter, though?
It's actually pretty good, Tanya. I've had peanut butter whiskey. It's actually wicked good. It's like I can't drink a lot of whiskey.
I am going to go, my friends. And if anybody ever comes out to the Black Hills, we'll go hang out with John Strand at Black Hills Information Security. There, by the way, as Jason was saying about leveling the playing field, if you look at Wild West Hackenfest and BHIS like training online, they have a choose your own price for training. So I took a class that was typically a $500 class. I paid $50 for it because that's all I could afford. So they do several cybersecurity courses that are free. If you basically send them an email and say, look, I can't afford anything, but I do want to learn how to do this. And they're typically 4 to 6 day courses. And it's amazing that they're offering.
Yeah,
that.
Guys.
And it's because
John Strand is an amazing person. His organization is amazing. I can't say any. You know who I am. You know how I stand up for civil rights and everything else. I really, John Strand is just an amazing person.
Yeah, his.
Can't hear you anymore, Nick.
Well, okay, I'm sorry. I do realize it wasn't showing, but John Strand created training sessions that are free for anybody that wants to do that, because he wants to eliminate the boundaries and the restrictions that people have to keep infosec from being diverse. So the idea, he understood that it's an income thing, and he said, look, if I remove the income barrier, people can get into cybersecurity by taking our classes for free, and all they have to do is provide passion and time, and you get free courses. If you want to pay the $500 for the class, you can. If you want to pay nothing for the class, you can. And that's really amazing to me.
That's a perfect plug for this topic. Thank you, Nick.
Yeah. Well, I'm sorry. I mean, I don't get any kickbacks from BHIS, from Black Hills Information Security, or Wild West Hackenfest. But if it wasn't for that organization, I would not be where I am today. They've really bolstered me. They've been incredible mentors for trying to get into cybersecurity, and me being a dumbass aircraft mechanic going, I'm kind of suspicious about this. And then them saying, you're going to speak at our conference, and then speaking at their conference about aircraft vulnerabilities. I would not have the chance I had to speak at DEF CON if it wasn't for John Strand and Black Hills Information Security.
All right, first of all, Nick, there's no such thing as a dumbass aircraft mechanic. You are good at being an aircraft mechanic. You're also really good at security, by the way. But yeah, not a dumbass. Just want to put that out there.
I do appreciate that. It's a very small percentage skill set. You know, when you're fixing bullet holes with KY jelly and an aluminum Coke can, you know, it takes. Well, no, I actually did it with rivets, a Coca-Cola can, and KY jelly, and I was able to patch an aircraft where the air wouldn't leak out because we came up with a solution. And I tell people that a mechanic, the troubleshooting mindset you can get from a mechanic, transfers very well into cybersecurity.
Oh yeah, Nick or Craig, you have your hand up. Go ahead.
Hey guys, I'm just going to interject this really quick. I was just doing some research while you guys were talking, and I found a really cool API that you can call to get subdomains. But more importantly, I was testing Alberto subdomain, right? And one of the domains that came up as a subdomain was an IMDb subdomain. So I'm like, this can't be real. So I went to imdb.albertohill.com, and he has his own IMDb page. I didn't even know this.
Oh, wicked.
Yeah.
No, I'm actually not that surprised. But
pretty cool though. I had no idea he was even listed on IMDb, but
that's wicked cool. Nice find, Craig.
Yeah, I'll share that the URL to the API in the pals message thing or whatever. But it's pretty awesome. You just basically just call this API with no key, put in a domain, and it shows you all the subdomains like instantly. It's bizarre, but
wicked cool, man.
And everyone that's in this room, Craig is brilliant at mass information. So like we have this thing right now, which is the gold nugget, which is always mining data out of massive amounts of information. And Craig is really good at writing the programs to do that. And so like if anybody has that type of leaning that they want to look into that kind of stuff, Craig is a good person to talk to, a wonderful programmer. And as I said, it is the gold nugget in data, is to find information out of big data and find a good way to grep that information. And Craig is figuring it out, and he's doing very well. But I am going to take off, DC. It's always good to see you, my quiet friend, motherfucker. Delphina, I always enjoy our conversations. Q, you're amazing. Well, Jason's my husband, so I have to give him compliments.
You're my hubby. Yeah, you.
Yeah, I mean, we're a couple. You can't undo that. So it's just the way it goes.
Yeah,
Tanya, you're massively amazing, and I love all the shit you're doing. But you guys have a wonderful night, and I'll talk to you later. And if there's anybody in this room that needs to do remediation from a cybersecurity incident, I'm more than happy to help you. I have nothing but time on my hands, and it's really nice. Like I'm terrible at studying just data. But when I take my CISP studying stuff and I can actually do rubber meets the road, and you give me an example where I can apply it, it makes things so much easier for me to learn. So we both benefit. But you guys have a wonderful night, and I love you. And the universe is always pulling for you. So just try to put the positive energy out there, guys.
You too, Nick.
You do the same, Nick.
Thank you.
Have a good one. Take care.
Yeah, I wish Nick was still here, but I'm super balanced. So if you want to send me any issues you have, you want to, have me research anything, I'm super balanced. I can balance it. But no, I'm just kidding. All right. So does anybody else want to speak up? Dion, Delphina, even like anybody, Pyramid, you guys down there. Fahad, like anybody that wants to talk about, recruiting. God, I hate that word. I really hate recruiting because it just sounds like military. I was in the Navy, so that's all I. And I don't want to say talking people into or anything like that, but I know there's a good word for it. I just can't think of it. But it's just advertising. You're giving young people the opportunity to learn where they can't in high school, right, or junior high. They get computer class, but it's a lot of typing. It's how to program in Python, basic, whatever they're doing now. And like I want them to get more into, hey, how the fuck do you hack? Like how do you reverse engineer? How do you protect a network? How do you protect the endpoint? Like what are the options we have, right? So it's a lot of that. So we've come up with hacker camps, which is Tanya's idea, which is brilliant. So we have, we still have to figure out the structure of it, but I vision it as like, a hacker camp, really, where it's maybe an outdoor space, indoor space, and a big conference type area. with computer endpoints with various tools, and there are various security professionals there to show them different ways to hack, to protect, to purple team, to blah 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 blah, all the things, right? Wireless hacking, maybe a lockpick village for young folks. Give them a bunch of bum keys as a door prize, right? So it's something like that. And like, what are other ways we can possibly I actually reached out to a couple high schools for hiring, and I reached out to a couple of colleges for hiring, of course. And it's we're very undermanned. We are thinking of good ideas to get more young people involved in cybersecurity. It's tough. I know when I was young, my family wanted to be an engineer, and I thought I was going to be an engineer. I did not become an engineer. And like, and it was because of an experience I had, right? So I just want to give young people those experiences where they can say, "Oh, hey, I like this," right? Not everybody's going to like it, but I think we can get some folks to like it, and I think it would be a great idea. Crickets. Crickets.
Cracking me up. Have we heard from him yet?
I'm just beginning to get worried now.
But he's done this where he goes and be gone and then comes back a lot later.
You know what? I did want to add one thing. Just a side note. When I was really young and I was just starting to get interested in programming, one of the things that accelerated my interest was a friend of mine took me to a user group meeting, and basically hearing these older guys talk about, much older than me. Obviously, I was probably only like maybe 10 or 11, and these guys were well into their late 20s, 30s, and so on and so forth. But hearing all these people talk about like their background and their passion and their interest in this stuff, and being able to ask them questions and all this kind of stuff, really accelerated things for me quite a bit. And so I think about that, and then I think about too as well, not that it's a direct correlation, but when you think about organizations like the YMCA and some of these places that have underprivileged kids and that kind of thing, having presentations or talk with them, I'm sure they have career-based, speakers that come in and talk to kids and stuff like that. I mean, I know that's a very, very young, early age and that kind of thing, and it's not necessarily recruiting them right away, but generating interest on that level to kids of varying ages, obviously, because the Y isn't necessarily just really young kids either, And I know in a different conversation, you guys were talking about the whole nature of like feeling like an outcast or not belonging or that kind of thing. And I think disadvantaged groups kind of lend themselves to that naturally anyways. So, that could be something that could be particularly appealing to kids and stuff like that too as well. That's just kind of my 2 cents, what, kind of rang to me. And so
brilliant. That's a brilliant correlation, actually. That's a great, that's great.
Yeah, I know we don't really have user groups anymore, but not that I know of anyway, but.
No, yeah, all the lugs died out, and like Linux user groups and all that kind of stuff kind of just died out. I think that's pretty much due to the internet, and you can get everything off the freaking internet nowadays. All right, well, I'm probably going to close this space soon. It's late for me. I have to go to bed. But it was a great conversation, everybody. Thank you. And I want to thank all you guys that did speak out, and DC, Delvin, Craig.
It's Devin.
Did I? So I said it right the first time, and then I said it right.
Good night,
wrong the
everybody.
first- Yeah, go Jason. Okay, yeah. So, all right, Devin. Yeah, I'm gonna probably close the space now. Yeah, you guys are awesome, and I think this was a great conversation. Tanya, you had some wonderful ideas, and I want to thank you.
My pleasure.
Yeah, you're amazing. Q, you're amazing. Everybody, you're amazing. Jeff, who didn't speak, he's over there with the eagle. He's amazing as well. It's an ironic eagle. He knows what I mean. And DC, you rock. Everybody, you rock. Delphina, you rock. Everybody, you rock. So keep doing the good thing. Everybody, keep fighting the fight. Fight for not just privacy and infosec, but fight for civil rights as well. Fight for our people. We're America. We're a melting pot. Fight for everybody. And ciao for now. Love you all.
Thank you, Jason. You're great too.
Thank you,
You rock.
Jason. Thank you. Thank you for hosting us tonight. It was awesome.
Thank you. Bye, everybody. Talk to
Bye,
you
everybody.
soon.
See ya.
Thank you.